Timmy J.
Hey, I just want to welcome everybody to 2218's Attitude for Gratitude. Tim, go ahead, cut the promo.
Here at 2218, that is the place you're listening to us from. They are the one who's putting this on, letting us host this podcast. And I just want everyone to know that if you'd like, please reach out. Eric's on here putting up the links so you can get to the 2218 page and donate if you're able. We love when you guys are here and checking in and able to donate. Thank you, Tad.
We got a great show for you today. We got a couple good friends of mine here today. Z, want to say hi, Z?
Hey, yo.
Elliot, you want to say hi?
Hey.
And Sidney is here.
Hey. Sidney is back.
So, sorry about that. Just quick clarification. He goes by Sidney. He's been a friend of mine for years, and I used to call him Sid. So that's why you hear me do that a lot.
Publicly, I'm Sidney.
Yeah,
Sidney.
He's Sidney. So, as always, this is an interactive show when we're live, but it doesn't work unless you guys are being interactive. If you don't ask us questions, then we just kind of got to do it on our own. So make sure you're in the comments. Make sure you share this. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your neighbor, tell anybody who you think could be helped by this, and use that comment section to help each other out too. You got something else, Tim?
I just want to. I'm always on top of what Tad's saying. It's like, this is interactive. We welcome your guys' ideas. We welcome anything you guys have to offer to the show. This is your show. This is the listener's show. Like, we're here as a conduit to you guys, presenting guests that we have here. So like he always says, like, it's an interactive show. With you guys, we bump heads together. So with you guys being part of this, it just goes much, much smoother. And we love you guys checking in.
And with that being said, we're always looking for, if you're a computer engineer, a sound engineer, people who do artwork, who want to help us. You see the pictures going across during that. If you know someone who would like to do some recovery artwork or get involved, hit me or Tim up. You can hit, and if you need guests, any ideas for the show, feedback, all of that, we want that. And you can hit me up at Tad Ackerman on Facebook, or you can hit Tim up at
Timothy J. Warren on Facebook as well.
Otherwise, you can hit up the Alano Club and we'll be alerted too. With that being said, like I said, we got a great show. We got Elliot, Z, and Sidney on the show, and let's chop it up.
Chop it up, baby. Yeah.
So, hey, Z.
Hey.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
It's just funny being here, actually.
You're in the mix now, bro.
Yeah.
It's going. Like, oh my gosh, from a minute ago to now, we're live. This is it.
Can I say something real quick about you two in particular? You guys have, you've really created a monster here in a good way. I mean, I've been listening to almost every episode you guys are doing, and I'm just really, really proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Really good stuff. You're doing a great service for the community. And kind of on the lines, I guess, I would say, how we have the 4-step workshop and, other workshops and whatever.
Yeah.
You guys really offer something to the community. So
thank you. I appreciate and I welcome compliments. I'm learning how to say thank you. And you're welcome. That's the biggest one, too, I'm really learning about. But you know what? I
always skirt around it.
Well, I did for a long time. But you know what? I see what you're saying as is basically I take it as this is a perfect situation, Elliot. Like a newcomer. Someone that can hear about this show or someone who can benefit from being here or listening, like as many ears as that this can reach, like it helps me to listen back to these shows personally. And I'm the one who's here in the room. Like I know what was said on the show, but I don't know if it's ego, but I listen to these shows and I hear from other people that talk about the help that has been received, or when someone gives us a question, whatever the case is, it's to reach. I mean, to me, it's always about the newcomer, to show them another way. Like this helps keep me clean another day coming here. So,
well, and that's what I'm trying to convey too, is that I think that shows through you two. You guys definitely have an investment in your own program, and it shows, and it really helps other people.
Thank you.
So you know that.
It was kind of crazy how this came about, because this was a dream of mine, and me and Eric did it on the porch, and I had two other people eyed for the co-host, and one originally he just he kind of vanished, and the other guy didn't answer his phone for 2 weeks straight.
A week.
a week.
I heard 2+.
See?
Yeah, and I've never called him that
So,
many times.
It was in your head for 2 weeks prior to the give to the max?
Oh, no. For like a year, I wanted to do this. I've wanted to do this for a while. And me and Tim became sponsee brothers, and we started doing service work together. And Tim happened to be there after I couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Right
and
place,
we
right
did
time.
it. And we did it on Give to the Max. I'm like, Tim, you want to do this podcast? And we were like, we're doing it in a week and a half. And I was like, oh, shit, let's do it.
Yeah, it was
Well,
awesome.
that's a good point too. I mean, you've been thinking about this for a year, and I've seen you coming around 2218 for almost 2-3 years now.
Yeah, there was a relapse in
3
the middle
years
there, but yeah.
But I remember when I first met you, Tad. You were full of energy, like all over the place,
And
you know?
angry.
But what I want to say is that, I mean, the transformation for you from when I first met you, I'm like, dude, you are a different person. You are.
That's God in the program.
Boom. Boom.
And then Tim, I met you. What, about a year ago? Was it?
3 years ago, bud.
Was it
At that
3 years
noon,
ago,
at that
too?
noon attendance,
Okay.
at that noon meeting, I saw you at quite a bit.
Well,
back
that's
then.
a good question. Can we talk about that noon meeting?
Yeah,
Is
without
that
the name
okay?
of it, yeah, definitely.
We can't say the name.
No, we just don't want to.
Okay.
Keep it in with traditions. We really have to be careful. We can talk about going to that noon meeting here
Okay.
at the club, but it's just I'm learning about this stuff
It's
too.
only
Like
me.
people
Right.
call me after the show, some people with more experience about the traditions and that are really invested in the traditions and anonymity. And explain, like, we can talk about, we do have a meeting here at noon every single day of the week, and it's part of saving my life and my story. But we can't say the name of the meeting or, the fellowship of it, but talk about it. It's
Well,
basically,
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to say is just going back to you is that I'm like, my time realization about how much how long you've been going there. That just means to me that you were pretty quiet when you first came in then, because I didn't really get to know you until really actually about a year ago.
Yeah.
And you were starting to share a lot more. You were a lot more vocal, and I just watched you just transform right before my eyes too. And then I saw you started working here, doing all kinds of stuff here, and then it was actually you, a couple months ago, that asked me if I'd be interested in being on this podcast. So
Yeah, I was so excited about that.
Z and I were going out to Gopher State. We saw you cruised past us on your motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
yes, yeah.
To hang out a little bit out there.
Yeah, that's right. There's so many faces that you see out there too. I'm about to go down a rabbit hole of talking about that, but I'm not going to right yet. But yeah, with this club here, that's at 2218. We're talking about, like, these friendships are formed here. There's so much involved that come along with being up here at 2218.
And hey, if you're ever interested in getting involved, they're always looking for volunteers. Just when you come to a meeting, just go to the front desk, and they have a new fancy dancy volunteer form, thanks to one of our board members.
Yeah, she's great.
She is great, and she has streamlined that process, and it has it's actually great. And yeah, I don't know, it's crazy.
No, that's where I was going. I was going to go down that road about talking about how I know that it was about 2 years in. I want to say, I took the cotton out of my mouth and shoved it in my ears, but
That's not
it
true.
was them first. It's not true. No,
I know.
100%.
I know.
So that's why, like, when Z just said that, like, I started speaking up. Then I do recall, like, that noon meeting. It was there was a outpatient facility I was going to a block away, and it just coincided where every day I could come here. And I'm thinking back to then. It's like I was spent by the time I got here. It was just early recovery. Like, I was spent by noon, and I just came in here, and it was finally I could be by myself, even though you're in a room full of fellow alcoholics or fellow addicts or whatever the case is. I could just go in there and, like, absorb everything, and, like, slowly I was able to make these friendships, and, like, that's where I was talking to Sidney a few times about, like, no, Sidney, I've seen you for years, but I didn't realize he was coming back in and out during those earlier days that I saw him. But yeah, when we had this podcast started right away, I was like, I know I want to, you were right in the forefront of my mind. I was like, yep, we're going to talk to Z. And then I realized the relationship between you and Sidney at that time too. Tad told me. And then I realized the position that Sidney was supposed to be in with this show. I was like, this will come together perfect. Because that's, you guys, I was installing the light out there. That's right.
Yeah.
I was putting up one of the new fancy lights here, and I saw you guys, and I came over, and you were with, I think, all your sponsees, or...
Yeah, we're having a meeting on Saturday.
Right, after the meeting. The meeting after the meeting.
And secretly, like, I knew that this is the direction the podcast was going to go in, was recovery. But, you know, secretly, I wanted to do a new nerd comic book podcast with Sidney.
Well, he would love that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do.
WandaVision at 2 a.m.
Right.
You're going to have to enlighten me on that. You guys talk about, I feel like the third man out. Like, I don't know what it is.
WandaVision, I mean, honestly, I'm like solely, like,
I got Z.
I'm mesmerized by it. I can't stop watching
Is
it.
it like an Adult Swim thing, or is
No,
it?
it's on Disney Plus.
Really? Well, you
Dude,
guys,
you
hey,
gotta get with the program.
you guys
man.
aren't hearing. Hang on, I'm writing it down. this just in. I got a fax about
Well,
WandaVision.
you don't get me and Sid started on nerding out. We went to GalaxyCon together, and we will nerd out.
It is. It's one of the best shows on, as far as I'm concerned. And
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't get into the Avengers movies,
It's along those lines?
Well, no, it continues.
The Avengers movies.
It's the first TV
It's a whole
show.
Different depth, and it deals with like this character's had so much trauma.
Yeah.
And it really gets really deep into like a lot of stuff about PTSD and like.
Oh, it's helpful.
there's a lot of metaphors in there, and they're not direct.
So, quick question about this: is a guy like me, never seen it? Is it a situation where I should really start from the beginning, or can I just hop in and start
You
watching?
can hop in, and it's all. I mean, all of them are on there, but I think you would.
Benefit.
Start at
want to
one.
watch the
Start at
Avengers
one.
movies if you watch. You can
Yeah.
watch WandaVision first, though. I think it could get you into it.
Well, I've seen all the Avengers. I mean, I'm on board
this
with
is a
all.
continuation. It's after Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm starting from the beginning. You guys never told me that this.
I tried to tell you. You
Elliot, be quiet over there. Come on.
Yeah.
So, Elliot, you know what? I'm gonna
That's what I
take
was gonna say.
I'm gonna take a hard left
Yeah.
turn here, guys. How is it for you, Elliot? Right now, how you feeling? Being part of this. What's this like for you?
Well, Elliot, can you just first? I just want to say this: that Elliot is like 40 days in recovery.
Yeah.
That's how we do.
And I wanted to invite him here. He is a part of the group that meets on Saturdays with the people I work with. And he showed up for his very first meeting here at 2218 for the noon meeting, which I can't say what it is, but
You can figure it out if you've
Yeah,
ever come
it's
in.
a noon meeting.
it's a noon meeting every day here at
High noon.
2218. Yep. And so, Elliot, what I would like to hear from you is what it was like walking into the rooms here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, as a massive consumer of podcasts, I'm really excited to be on one. I probably have a podcast playing in my ears more often than not. What it was like walking in here, it took me a little bit longer to get out of my car, and then I think I probably walked a little slower in that parking lot than I typically would. But I think, like most new things that I've experienced, that level of like being nervous, it's usually a good thing. Usually when I'm nervous, it's because something is good or positive or is going to be meaningful in some way. So I kind of recognize that. And then my experience was just kind of sitting down and shutting up and listening. And I still kind of struggle with like the some of the more kind of procedural elements of this, but I mean the biggest takeaway that I've had after 40 days or a little less than that, let's call it like a month really of going to meetings and like including that meeting in my kind of regular schedule, is just it's nice to be in a room with so many different people.
Right.
I've just been blown away by the level of like insight and intellect and all of the life stories and all of the experiences that all of these people have had, and I'm kind of struggling to think of another avenue or experience I've had recently where you have the opportunity to hear from so many different people that kind of share one thing in common and then have so many interesting kind of differences in terms of their experience and perspective.
I want to talk a little bit about that.
Your mic is not working. Sid.
It is.
No, it works. We just can't hear him.
Oh.
I know. I was
It's
crying about that
complicated.
earlier.
You can hear me though.
The audience can.
And
Yeah.
You can hear
We,
me. Right?
I can't.
Look at that's why I did this.
You
You
take
see my headphone?
off.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you, Sid.
All right.
It was on Monday. I happened to be off work. I work during the week now, thanks to being able to hold down a job.
Yay.
Thanks to
Gifts of the program.
working the program and staying sober and being emotionally and mentally healthy. And I happened to be here. It was a Monday, and it was like one of those God things that we talk about. It was Elliot's first meeting. I've known Elliot for like 25 years.
Oh no shit.
Since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm older. You know, but we were both kids, and we've seen each other around for years.
They're saying it's hard to hear you.
Oh.
They are saying that on the.
He showed me which one it was. Put it up to your mouth. Close. Yeah, there you go. Take the condom off.
Anyway, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you know what? Here, I'm gonna check. Go ahead. Keep talking. Keep telling us about the God moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so it was just cool to be there. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. You were talking about you came in on a Monday. I'm sorry. That's due to the
But now
technical
I'm
stuff.
lucky enough to be able to show this guy that I've known for such a long time this way of life, and it kind of makes me think about that a lot of those first few hundred of us back in like the 30s and 40s. That's how it would be. We've known each other. We've seen each other around town, and we get to show this guy that we've known. We've had like a lifelong friendship, acquaintanceship with, and this way of life that has changed my life. So
Yeah, and like I certainly didn't expect to recognize anyone or see anyone that I've known, especially for someone that I kind of basically grew up with.
So when you saw him, you're like, "There's Sid." Like right away, you saw him and recognized him, right?
Absolutely.
the mask's on now too, so I didn't know it was him until after the meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you know what? My question I was going to ask you is like a couple. I want to bombard you with questions because for me, I always talk about the newcomer. Like there's so many facets. Like you're a benefit to my recovery, and there's so many different facets for me when it comes to a newcomer. Just the story of what you're talking about. Every newcomer, I believe, can recall that moment of before walking into that first meeting. Like I had the same thing. Like before I decided to go to detox, like I took the tram there and I sat outside for 3 hours by myself, just like, is this what I want to do? Like, I'm going to have to go admit these problems, like just so much crap. And there's nothing anyone could have told me to prepare me for what was ahead of me. But like, the first thing I want to ask is like, at this point, 40 days in, do you feel it was the better of the choice that best choice you could have made?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then going back, a month and a half ago, like in many ways, I was fortunate and unfortunate to not really have a choice in like kind of why I found myself here.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Legal stuff or?
Yeah, no, nothing legal. Thank God.
What brought you here?
I mean, the short of it is that I woke up in the hospital and have no idea how I got there. And I scared the shit out of a lot of people that, care about me.
Right.
And that filled me with a tremendous amount of guilt. And I was also scared that I would get into that situation again and the consequences would be far worse.
Right.
That no one would be around or, it could lead to injury or death.
Yeah,
of course,
yes.
and for some people that is like the outcome of that. So and then then kind of trying to wrap my head around like what's going on and what I need to do. The availability of therapy was it's kind of difficult, and everyone's kind of as you kind of go through the medical system these days, everyone kind of tells you that,
right.
Whether it's a doctor at the hospital or like your general practitioner or whatever. And everyone said, just go to an AA meeting. You can go tomorrow.
Right.
You could go right now. You could leave this doctor's office and you could go find a meeting.
Right.
So you happen to pick the most diverse,
Yeah.
eclectic, warm, welcoming meeting in the Twin Cities.
Yep. I picked it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you end up linking up with Z?
We met at a meeting.
I mean, like, did you come to him, or did he come to you, or did Sid?
here's
Let's
how
hear
it-
it. I want.
Oh, yeah.
we need to hear
Let's
this.
hear
Kind
the
of cool.
details.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Give us the deets.
Yeah, because
The deets.
these are the profound things of how
Yes.
things work in recovery. And as Sid was talking about, you want to call it serendipitous, or you want to call it higher power, or whatever. So as soon as the meeting was done, Sid went outside, and Elliot went outside after that too. And then they finally recognized who each other were. And then I'm still inside the where we have our meeting, which is what is that called now?
Well, the meeting.
The auditorium.
Right. The auditorium.
Auditorium.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Okay.
Well, let me real quick just tell you, our listeners from day one, I had a slip the very first show, and I said the name of the meeting we're talking about. So,
Yeah.
so they know.
I wasn't trying to say the meeting. I was trying to say the auditorium. But so I was still in the auditorium trying to pack things away, get the meeting done, and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and I open it. It's Elliot. And Elliot comes in like a little kid. Literally, you look like a little kid.
Yeah, I have a youthful glow.
Right. You look like a little kid who was kind of lost and nervous. And,
Totally nervous. Yeah,
and
you mentioned to me that I was shaking because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
As you're sitting there talking to me, and I didn't know all the reasons why you came back in. I found out that you had to go to the bathroom, which was part of it.
Yeah.
But you were literally shaking.
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you okay?" And you did just say that you were really nervous and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I said, you know what? We have all been there.
Yeah.
It's true, though. We all have been
When
there.
I first got into the program, I literally was so uncomfortable in my skin. I could not have anybody sit next to me.
Right.
I would get up and move.
Yeah.
That's how uncomfortable I was, okay?
Me too.
So when you guys met outside and I talked to you, I didn't know you met already. I talked to you. I said, well, did you ask anybody for a number to possibly work with after leaving this meeting? And you're like, yeah, I ran into this guy I've known for a long time. This is what he said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Where are you from? And he told you.
Yeah,
where, and you were like,
yeah,
"There's
St. Louis
actually
Park.
Another guy I know
Yeah.
that was at this meeting from there.
From St. Louis
There we
Park.
go.
St.
Yeah.
Louis Park.
There we go.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Eric.
You're back.
Yeah,
live
because
with
we were
us.
not
Awesome.
hearing Sidney at all.
And
Thank
full
you.
disclosure, let our audience knows you are Sidney and Elliot's.
I was just going to go into
okay.
that,
All right,
yeah.
then I didn't want to
Yeah.
break the. All right, go ahead.
That's okay. So I work with Sidney. I don't personally like to use the word sponsorship or sponsor. I just don't. I don't care for that word. Okay. So I use the wording. I think words are everything. I use the wording working with others.
Working with others.
And that's what our chapter is titled and everything. So I've been working with Sid. We've been working together for about 4.5 years, going on 5 years.
Yeah, almost 4 years.
I
Okay.
was gonna say you guys were a package deal when I met both of you.
Right. I lose track of time. I've been around here for 21 years, so I'm getting old. I'm the old timer now. Okay. But anyways.
I almost asked you to sponsor me when I first came in, and I couldn't find all them I kept going through sponsors, and then I went with the guy I ended up going with. You were on the final because me and Sidney talked about it.
I was on the short list, is what you're saying?
You were on the short list.
Okay. So to try to make a long story, I guess, short, I work with Sid. Sid's been sober for coming up to 3 years pretty soon.
Almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I went out for about a month and a half in the middle there.
Right.
Came right back.
And then, so now Sid works with Elliot.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of a small world in recovery.
So this is grand sponsor.
Yeah.
sponsor? Okay.
Which is another reason why I wanted us all here.
That's
tonight.
awesome.
That is awesome. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I
I
didn't
thought
know.
you were both their sponsors.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No.
Surprise.
Wow. The evolution of recovery sitting
That's
in front
awesome.
of my eyes.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's I just really feel really blessed, and I'm really grateful to be able to share that with, especially with Elliot, with somebody that I've known. I mean, I'm working with a couple other guys too, and I feel really grateful to be able to do that too.
And I think it just because everyone has a different style, and it works. Like what Sidney's style, like you guys both have different styles, but it's still the same.
Yeah, the way I
messages.
work with him is not the way he works with other
Yeah,
people.
that's what I'm
you
getting
know?
at. And
I mean,
but it works, and that's what's beautiful about recovery. Like,
Yeah.
I know some of Sidney's style because he was my therapist for a while, unofficially. he was. When I was going through some of my shit, he used to, those times are few and far between now. He used to just sit and listen to me.
Yeah.
And then we'd talk about comic books. And like one of his things was no matter what we were doing, he'd always try to end it with us reconnecting, talking about things we'd like.
That's
Which-
huge. Was that methodically planned out, or is that just how it worked when you would talk?
I mean, I think there was some thought behind it that, hey, like, all these problems are not who we are. Who we are is the things that make us light up.
And he'd always point out some good thing, but I don't see that in you. I see that you're trying, and if it was really like at a time where I felt I had no friends, whether that was reality or not. Like Sidney made me feel that what I was doing was helpful and that I was worthwhile, and then we would talk about comic books.
You can't pay for stuff like that. No, that's huge. You can't pay for things like that. It's like
Right.
there's somewhere in there where it talks, not self-diagnosing, but we're going through something that many people pay big money, or insurance companies pay huge money to get what you just shared about.
Right.
Like, to find another person like-minded, and you can work problems out together and walk away feeling spiritually fit and healthier. Like, people pay big money and still never get that resolution.
And I totally agree with you, and I could say that over and over and over. And one of the things I do say is that you can choose to pay $1, but you don't even have to pay $1.
Exactly.
And you get this, and it's a miracle. And I don't like to throw a lot of these things that we often hear in recovery around, like, it's a miracle, you're a miracle, and all those things. I really like to think about what I'm going to say before I say it, usually.
Right.
Okay? But I really do think there are miracles really happening here. Okay? And I think the fact that you came in when you did, Elliot, is a miracle. And you can say God, you can say some other higher power, whatever you want to say. Something brought you there at that time, and here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I was overwhelmed, acknowledging in front of all of those people that it was my first meeting. I mean, even that was like a moment where I was like, okay, I think I'm in a good spot here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you were in a good spot, being able to be brave enough to do that. Like, I wasn't able to. A lot of us weren't able to like stand up and introduce ourselves at that first meeting,
Right.
and know like we are in a place that we belong and we're accepted in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you're new to something, it's sometimes the opposite. It's like you do things that are new and you're less experienced, and people are kind of like they've already moved on. But just to be like kind of swooped up in a very like, in a very honest way.
Well, Z, I think, hit it on the head too. Is like, you couldn't have walked into a better meeting in the way where he said, most diverse. The words you used about that meeting were spot on. It's like there are some meetings you go to where it's like this old timer vibe, or you go to some meetings where it's this culture vibe or that one. But this noon meeting here, that fellowship, like, there's something to identify. There's always that meeting to me is where I see Eric and Tad and the board trying to take this club. Like, that's the future. It's like, you couldn't have walked into a better. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to exclude other meetings, and that's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is, yeah, like he's saying, like Buddha or God or whoever, like there was some that you lucked out. Like, I don't know if that's the right word to say, but it's huge when someone finds that end of that door you open. It was a great door to open.
Absolutely, and I really think what you're trying to get to is what we call home groups, right?
Yeah.
You find a meeting and it just clicks for you. It's an energy. It's a vibe. It's like you're feeling connected. And as we know,
what would you say to our listeners right now who are in the beginning of this and they're just not finding a home group?
Thank you, Joel.
I would really. That was a question that came through.
It's the question I'm asking you.
Okay.
Because I'm not getting the questions very well, so I'm just
Okay.
trying to, and that's one of the things that when we're new in recovery until we hear it. Like, what do you do when you can't? What would your advice be, guys?
I mean,
Well-
it's so hard right now. I would say,
Right, with the
come,
COVID
come
and
to
all that stuff,
2218 at noon,
Yeah.
and that if we can be your home group until you find one. I mean, the variety of meetings that we had when I started coming to
There was like 100 a day in the Twin Cities.
to meetings was that's the thing is like it's
And
just
there's
not
not.
there anymore, and so I'm really grateful that the meeting that I have felt as my home group for many years when I was coming in and out.
I've even
It's
started
still
checking
here
that
every
meeting
day.
out again. I'm there about 2 or 3 times a week now.
Z
all
and
the
I,
time.
we followed that meeting to this club. And when I heard that we were moving here, I was a little bit apprehensive.
Right.
And that is part of like what Tim
Ooh,
was saying
yeah.
I heard
is
about
that
this too.
it
I've
is a
heard
big
Some
part
people
of,
were.
I do feel like us coming here has, I mean,
100%.
made me feel like this is a place where I am welcome and I can be part of it and I can help out and be and be welcome to help out even. you know?
Can I interject? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I know from some of my own experience and what I've been taught through sponsorship and or working with others is people I was working with when I first started this program. They suggested that I go to a meeting at least 6 weeks. Check it out for 6 weeks. If it's not your meeting, move on to another one, and give it another 6 weeks. Give it some time to see if it clicks or not. But sometimes you walk into a place and you just feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when I walked into Jitters 21 years ago, I said it.
Oops.
When I walked into this meeting 21 years ago, sorry about that.
One of our
guys.
listeners already posted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I walked into this meeting
That's the loophole.
21 years ago. It was the vibe. It was the message. There was a message there, which was important. But it was also, this is a real personal piece, is that there was a transgender woman. Her name is Elaine. She was at that meeting. Okay, she was the matriarch of that meeting, really. And when I seen her, and this is 21 years ago, and we were not as kosher and
Not where we are now
kind,
as a
right,
society.
especially when it comes to gender stuff. Okay,
Yeah. People were mean.
and they were cruel to her. And what does she do? She shakes every hand, hugs every person,
Oh.
and say welcome.
Bless
And
her heart.
that is the spirit
Yes.
That's
of recovery right there.
Yeah.
That is
okay.
that noon meeting too.
That was
Right.
probably powerful
Epitome
for
of
you
it.
Right.
to see. Yeah.
So her life lives on. She died like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, actually. And she's just a beautiful person. And she really inspired me to continue to keep doing this, So,
Those hugs were the only human contact I had in those early days when I would come to our meeting, like when we were at Wesley Church. I didn't want anybody to touch me, but Elaine hugged everybody, and like within a couple weeks, I was looking forward to that hug. It's
Right.
the only hug I was gonna be getting.
it's like
One
she wouldn't let you not get a hug or
exactly.
something. From
One of our listeners just wrote in, this meeting's availability and consistency has saved me when I was lost and desperate. Always have a spot in my heart, and I feel like it's one of God's home groups.
Me too.
Like that.
That's pretty cool.
And you know what? Like they're talking about, and like Sidney's talking about when it was at a church, I believe, and it moved here. And this podcast isn't just about that meeting, but we're talking about that now. So that moved from that church to 2218. And
Do you want to
I've
hear
heard-
that story?
Yeah, yes, I do. If you guys don't mind, Tad, I don't have an issue with hearing that.
yeah.
But real quick is
Yeah.
why are we? That's on me here. So somebody was explaining to me the same as what Sidney was saying. Like when he heard it came here, some people may have been apprehensive just because of that stigma this place had. But realistically, I do believe when that meeting came here, it helped take that step of putting 2218 into the future.
So not being here for that and being here the last couple of years and helping try to change, Sid was So if I was monumental for helping change the club, which I've heard, I can't say whether or not. Sid was my therapist. Sid heard all the trash. Sid heard me getting picked on by the other people. Sid had to deal with that. So watching that, from what I've gathered, the first steps of what I wanted to do started at Jitters coming here. Because it was different. It was diverse. There were lots of people that wanted change. And we've made no qualms about this. This used to be an old boys club here.
Yeah.
And changing that, and in the last years, starting with that from the 6:30 group that goes on here now, that's new, we and other groups that we're trying to get in here, and this podcast and exclusive events, the drag show, things like that. We're trying to be on the cutting edge, and we're trying to be all inclusive, and that's how Recoveroki.
Yes,
game
it's coming
night,
back soon.
And that's how my recovery is, and I learned that from you guys. I learned that because I could be uninclusive in my life because I've been taught that by certain things. And that's closed-minded and doesn't let me.
That comes from the way a lot of us are brought up, and prejudice and
being picked on.
It's a trickle-down effect from both avenues. From like you're saying is like we're raised a certain way, so we bring that along with us in our life. But on the other hand, you helped worked with others. In return, work with others. In return, I got to remember we're on a radio deal. I'm pointing at Z, who worked with Sidney, who's the therapist to Tad, and now Tad was part of bringing this club into. You see what I'm saying? Like, and
it's reciprocal.
Yeah, and just because we're raised a certain way, we come here and we learn how to change. We learn how to evolve.
That's not to say I seeked counsel and wisdom from Z a couple of times when I became president of squad council and didn't know, and he was in a meeting that was just an absolute shit show. Yeah. And he was like, "I'm never going back."
Do you remember that?
I do remember.
You do?
That. It was my first meeting back, and the next month I took over because of lack of leadership.
I want to talk about that real quick, and then I want to move on to the noon meeting.
Okay.
So we were at the squad council meeting together, me and you, Tad.
Yeah.
And somebody was there and just started to create friction and fighting and craziness. Like it was ready to go to blows. And I was like, I never would have came to this meeting if I knew it was going to be like this. And it got to the point of where I was ready to call 911.
It hasn't been like that since.
Thank God. But
that was the turning point of how I got to be president of squad council. That was the catalyst for it.
But you know what? That is important part to talk about because that is some of the history that this club has had.
Right.
So the new meeting that I go to, which I almost said again, started 26 years ago. And it started as a new meeting at the Hennepin Center for the Arts. It was called the Hennepin Center for the Arts noon meeting.
Oh.
And so that was 26 years ago. And so that was 5 years ago before I even started attending. Okay. And then it moved around. It moved to a coffee shop that used to
got its name from that, right?
It used to be in a coffee shop in the coffee shop, but behind this wall called Jitters. And that was located on between 10th and 9th.
The coffee house was called Jitters.
Yeah, the coffee house was called Jitters.
Yep.
And okay, so you already know where I'm going with this. Yeah. But anyways,
let's keep going. This is the story of evolution.
This is the history of it. Yeah,
evolution.
And so it was between 10th and 11th on Nicollet Avenue, and it was there for approximately 2 years, and then they were closed down, and so they decided to name the meeting after being there Beyond Jitters.
Right.
So that's how Beyond Jitters became a meeting. And I think it is so critical because after that it moved around a little bit, and then it went to Wesley Church, and it was at Wesley Church for 18 years.
I didn't know that. I thought it went straight from the coffee shop to here.
No.
Okay.
And so then in 2017, it was actually April Fool's Day, 2017, we moved here. Okay. But there was several of us that has hesitancy about moving here because of, like I said, some of those experiences we had in the squad council meeting was the norm here, okay? And it was not okay. So we moved here then, and I was kind of against it. I was actually adamantly against it at first, and I raised some voices on that one. But, after all the things that have happened and changed, and I want to give a shout out to the new board members that came in.
Yes.
I really appreciate them. They really have done a lot of work to change this place.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
culture here is changing.
It started from the ground up.
really is,
From
yes.
the board all the way down to squad council
Absolutely.
to the volunteers. Because it wasn't just like AA, Ron, and myself. There's guys at the front desk that have helped with security, and there's countless people here.
Right, the volunteers
The,
keep
vol-
the
the
lifeblood of this
volunteers
place.
and us creating
Absolutely.
a culture, setting
Yes.
a tone.
It is a culture.
And because I was taught wrong when I came in here, I was taught by certain other leaders who were screaming at me, so I screamed.
Right.
Because that's how I knew. I knew how to fight and stuff. And I had to learn diplomacy, and I had to learn to be kind. I had to learn to be better. If I wanted this place to be better and I wanted everyone else to be better, I had to be better. And whether or not the people above me were or were not, that didn't matter. It didn't matter what other people did. Tad had to be better. And
Well, I just want to touch on that too. Is that I mean, really, I can't say enough how much the board has done for this club. Okay.
Yeah.
I would not be coming here if the changes haven't happened, and a lot of that is the result of the board. And I know some people have some struggles with some of the things the board has done, or some of the things that they believe or whatever. And I think, all in all, what's important here is we're growing.
yeah, there's
We're
going to
not
be growing
stuck
pains.
in
We're
the
not-
same old way. We're
stagnant,
growing.
no.
Okay.
Amen.
This is bringing in a lot more lightness and a lot more diversity, and I'm just really proud of the board. I'm proud of the club. I'm proud of you guys for what you're doing. It's kind of on the same page. You guys are doing some great stuff.
Thank
And-
you.
Yes.
And I feel like the club has really, I mean, even early on, before we had the board that we have leading up till now, when we're getting a new board, even when we first came here, we felt welcome and felt like we do belong here, and not everybody, and we've lost some members, some important members in our group because of differences of opinion, which really bums me out,
Me
but
too.
It's a tough one to swallow when that happens.
Yeah, but
Sucks.
they really, I think I was proved wrong, when we came here, and it really impressed me, and I really felt like immediately this is a place where I do belong, So,
Real,
you went into-
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep
do you
going.
want to
sorry.
talk a little bit about? We talked a little bit about our small group, which, and Elliot can speak to that a little bit. Like, we meet in a small group of people that work. Of sponsorship.
You work-
I don't have a. I say sponsorship.
You say what you
but-
want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That's me.
Yeah, but my sponsor Z and the guys that he sponsors and the guys that we sponsor, and other guys that we're close with. We meet in a small group and we talk about our step work and we talk about how our recovery is going every Saturday. And I don't know many other like sponsorship families that do that, but it's been so helpful to me, especially. And we just did another fifth step together last night, and we were talking a lot about how we are family, and we have filled that role of family to each other in a way that our blood family just is not able to do, but we still need to have that family in our life, and we've become that to each other, you
Right.
know? So do you guys want to talk about that and how that works and how that experience is for you a little bit?
I think that'd be a great idea.
About 4 years ago, when we moved here, actually, and I didn't come here for the first couple months that it was here because I was rebelling, of course. And then I did come back, and then soon after that, I started doing a small group that met once a week on the weekend, and it's been going ever since. So every Saturday after our new meeting, we, the people I work with, and we can use the word sponsorship or whatever, we all meet together. So we have grand sponsees and sponsors and all that stuff.
Is it a pretty big group?
Yeah, in the crying room. And, we work on recovery, and we talk about what we're doing and what we need to do or want to do or whatever. And I really, really, really try to approach it that, I don't ever want to have like a one-upmanship with anybody in recovery or in life.
Or hierarchy.
Exactly. And I just really come from a place of how can we all help each other?
Right.
And so we all talk and we all give feedback and stuff like that.
That's huge. What's it so far in this last 40 days? What's it been like for you, Elliot? Kind of like what Sidney's shared about, what Z shared about being part of this family. Are you feeling that, or what's it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, like I've always sought out things like this, like groups of like-minded people coming together to kind of create something that's like more powerful than like their individual, what an individual could do. My feelings about the small group is like it's something that I should have been doing all along.
Right.
Like it
That's
sounds
awesome.
it sounds like a profound thing, but just talking to people, sharing your week, it can be as simple as that. And there's levity,
Right.
there is lightness, there is understanding, and again, it's like when in what other scenario would you sit and just share with people?
Exactly.
It's weird that it's so weird.
Where you wouldn't pay like $100
Yeah,
bucks.
and it's free.
Yeah,
That's the
right,
kicker. It's like
right.
this is free.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, and you don't
Right.
realize it until you get here. It's
and you're
it's-
not
yeah.
and you're not yeah and you're not trying to make money, you're not making art, you're not I enjoy playing music, I enjoy there's all these things that I do that involve like a group of people, and just to simply share for the sake of sharing because everyone kind of understands how rewarding it can be is really great. I'm lucky to have been invited to the small group. Very right off the bat, I was like, small group. I don't know what any of this is, let alone small group.
Right.
But Sidney and Z, like I said, from meeting both of them and Z especially because I met him as when I was shaking, asking to use the bathroom. Being invited to share in a more intimate setting was I was very honored.
Right.
To be invited to do something like that. It felt special.
It is. It is a special thing.
Yeah, and it's been really good. And there's things that I've only attended a few. I'm relatively new. I'm very new, but there's definitely I kind of during my week now I'm kind of like, oh, this is something I might share, or what can I bring to the table, or.
Right.
And I'll probably get better at that and
Well, and here's the
continue to do that.
It's like 3 years in. Plus, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
It's not something where it's just cut and dry. That's the benefit. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about recovery
Yes, it
is
keeps
it's never
growing,
done. We
yes.
get to keep doing this and learning and growing even more.
And
Yeah.
like finding the similarities, not differences. A lot
There's
of
no
people
finish
get
line.
scared of that to
Exactly.
hear like this never ending. No, like it gets to be always growing. Like
Yeah.
we get to experience these new things like daily.
Yeah.
It's not like a bad thing. It's just great. Like before on a bar stool, like I wanted what we have here.
Yeah.
And I would chase it.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
me too.
and it took to
Yeah.
I've shared on other shows like there's people that are still out there struggling. It's like I want to just shake and be like, there's a solution, and
Yeah.
it's free, and
Yeah.
it's here for the taking.
Yeah.
It boggles my head, but it took for me to be here to realize that.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I'm definitely in a place where, they say like alcohol is baffling. Well, I'm kind of finding AA to be kind of baffling too.
it can be
It is also
It's
kind of
totally baffling.
powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful, yeah,
But
don't forget
and
that.
powerful. Yeah. Less cunning. Not so much. I don't get cunning.
No,
but
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
I don't
for
want.
sure.
I don't need any more cunningness.
Exactly.
There's enough cunning out there. But I just I don't know. I guess I was talking to Sidney about this, but like, you know, I'm kind of the type of person where like when I start something or when I do something, I want to figure out everything there is to know about it. I want to learn everything. I want to be good at it right away. And if I'm not good at it, I want to know how to get good at it so that I can get good at
drive.
it. And it's kind of a relief to come here and not be expected to do that.
Right.
And I'm kind of
Nice.
figuring that out. Like, because I know, like, I want to. I feel that, like, that there's a certain level of anxiety and a certain level of uncertainty, not knowing how this all works. But just being reminded that, like, hey, chill out.
Right. There's no like I always say there's no expectations, but there's the two things like someone's said to me in the past, like all you have to do perfectly. The only one thing.
Yeah.
Don't pick up.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing you have to do 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Don't pick up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like that blew my mind when someone really looked me in the eyes and says, Tim,
You have a choice.
You don't have to.
Yep.
And that was one thing I wanted to you guys to talk about too, is that both of you, you've never gone back out, you know what I mean? And you don't have to.
One and done.
Just because we have and we've come back, you don't have to ever give this up, you know what I mean? And that's beautiful, you know?
Right.
It takes something different for everybody, but I know that if I never would have left, I mean, I can't even imagine what my mind and my soul would be like.
Well, and
now,
I
you know
believe
what
in
I
that
mean?
whole everyone's journey, everyone's story is their story. You know what? I know that the loved ones in my life, people around me hate when I say this, but I was joking. I was like, one and done. I might go out tomorrow. There's no guarantees I'm not going to pick up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a daily. It's a daily thing. Like
Yep.
as long as I keep doing this and staying connected, like I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna, but I might have 10 relapses in me if I make it back into the room. Like my story's not done being written.
Yep.
That I got to.
You could
I
only have one.
yeah.
You could never make it
Yeah.
back.
We see it all
You
the
never-
time.
yeah.
That's the one thing. Like
Guys are sober for years.
Yes.
And they go back out
Once.
One
night.
1 minute.
Yes.
1 second, and they're
one
dead.
use, yes. And I've seen that so many. We shared last week. Was that last week, Ted? We were talking about letting balloons go. Like we've
Yeah.
shared about like
Yeah.
it happens, and the longer you're in here, unfortunately, you see it. People do go back out.
That's a good reference right there. That it's really not the years; it's the moments.
The moments.
It really is the moments.
Yeah, you just shared about that lady that the hugs. Like, I mean, and that was a good. I mean, it just there's moments, and you got to seize them. Real quick, I want to, like Tad says at the beginning, this is an interactive show. I want to thank everyone for checking in. Real quick. These are people that have checked in, and I just want to thank them. Alicia, Christina, Dwayne, Melina, Sean, Jeff, Natalie, Shane, AA, Ron, Katie, Joe, and JP. Your guys' questions are welcomed. Send
So,
some questions in.
I just want to say, because our computer screen is not up normally, so keep sending the questions in. If if you don't know Tim or I, and you're not comfortable sending them directly to us, and we haven't heard your question, hit up Aaron, and that he's going to identify himself. You're listening. I know you're listening, Aaron.
yeah.
He's on there.
So just hit him up. Say, hey, this is me. I'm Aaron, Mr. Aaron. He's a guy on there who said he's the president of the squad council. So just hit him up, and he will personally message me with your questions.
Can I say something about him?
yeah,
Yeah.
Quick, too.
He's all good.
Yeah. So Aaron, I love you too, buddy. And Shane, I love you. And I'm seeing some of the people that I know personally from the meeting. But Aaron, he is another guy. I remember when he first came in, he was doing his, hi, I'm AA Ron.
Yep.
Yeah. And
At that noon meeting.
Yes, of course. And it's been a great thing to experience his transformation too. I mean, he's a beautiful person. He's got a good heart.
He came to me mad about this club and where I was at, and I was like, well, dude, are you going to keep bitching about it, or are you going to help me? You going to get involved? Are you going to do that? And
You're good at that, Tad. You really are.
well, and it's because people told me, Tad, you want to keep bitching about it? How's that working out for you? So you get involved and you bitch and you whine, and then you get burnt out.
Absolutely.
and you go back out. Like I did my first time involved here at this club. That's what happened. I got my feelings hurt.
I remember that.
And I left. And, you know, I died twice because of that.
I'm
Luckily-
glad you're alive. Okay.
Me too. You know,
And I'm glad you're here
and
doing this.
I am too, 99.8% of the time. I mean, and what I want to just touch on what Sidney said. Like, I used to wonder that too about, you know, where I would be if I did just my first time when I was 18. But, you know, unfortunately, that's not my story. And fortunately for everyone else, that's not my story because I wouldn't be.
Right.
I wouldn't be helping people the way I help people.
Yeah.
There would be no podcast.
would,
I wouldn't be involved in the
trickle down effects.
If I would have got, and I almost guarantee you, if I would have got clean the first time and it would have stuck, I'd probably have a family and be settled down, and like that's probably would have been my way, and I probably wouldn't be in meetings because I was young, and you know, and I wouldn't have the pain of all those going back out and seeing people and seeing the things because I was watching. My 4 years up in Fergus Falls and moving from here to different Alano clubs to here, like all of that experience and watching around made me what I am today and gave me the motivation that I have today. This time, the dying twice too is a big one.
Me too. And I don't mean to play the what if game because that's something that I've been able to learn to not do. You know, I don't have to think about the past and I don't have to think about the future.
Yeah.
All I have to think about is what's going on right now, and I can just live in the moment. I don't have to like dwell in everything that could have happened like I used to. That's what kept me drinking.
Right.
Thinking about the past and thinking about the future, and I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, the what if games, like every D-dub I'd get. I spent every legal issue, not just D-dub. It's like I spent so many hours of if I would have, what if, I should have, like all these things, like, and I kept doing it. I kept getting in trouble or kept getting these repercussions, and I'd spend these days upon days of like, what if I would have just? It's like, what are you doing?
What if Aunt May got bitten by the radioactive spider?
What if
that does, yeah. Oh my God, geriatric Spider Woman.
you kids
Oh, I was
are
wrong
crazy.
for that.
Oh, send some questions in, audience.
You know,
Oh boy, I'm loving this.
Christy says, just heard this week. Focus on what is, not the what ifs. And you know, hi, Tim's cousin. She's part of the family now.
She is,
Anyways,
yes.
I mean, so like, I don't do the what ifs anymore, and because it's done.
Yeah.
It's what can I do about it. What I want to talk about is. I'd be interested to hear your guys' opinion on this. So, I remember when I first heard "don't focus," you know, don't piss on you're pissing on today. Don't focus on the future. So I'm living in the moment and I'm not making any plans. This was a couple times ago in recovery.
Elliot might not have heard this cliche yet.
Oh.
If you got 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, you're pissing on today.
Or don't think about the past because you'll trip over the future.
Yeah.
Or our good friend Bob S. He writes, if we all had fishes up our ass, we wouldn't have to go fishing. Like, okay.
That is profound.
I've been chuckling
That's
since he wrote
profound
it.
and
Yeah, I turn away for 1 minute, Bob.
I know.
Anyways, but no. So like, I was
sponsor.
no, a buddy of ours.
Yeah.
And so
Mentor.
So I heard that, and I'm sitting here trying to live in the moment, and an old timer came to me, and this guy had like 40 years, and he was up there, and this was when I was in my 20s, and he was like, yep, you need to live in the moment, but here's the deal, Tad. You'd be fucking foolish not to plan for the future. We're talking about not living in the future. We're not talking about you don't go get a job, you don't go pay your bills, and you don't have goals. And for me, that was a hard thing to grasp, maybe because I'm so literal sometimes. And it was something that I've had to be taught some of these things because I don't know everything. No matter what I say, I really don't.
Ted, you don't?
No, I don't.
Aw.
I used to think I did.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did, but I projected like I did.
Right. Well, and I think that's actually it. I knew I didn't know everything. I projected like I did because I didn't have actual confidence. It was fake.
This is I'll just say yesterday, this fifth step we did, that was a big thing that came up for me too. That I love being right. Even when I think the worst thing is going to happen, if it happens, I feel good because I was right. The worst thing was going to happen, you know? And we talked about Z gave me the suggestion to start saying the set aside prayer every day.
Yes.
And my first sponsor had me write that first page in my big book. And that was over a decade ago. I never took the step to say that every day as one of my regular prayers, and now I am. And you know what? Even after one day, I get it and I feel better, you know?
Right.
So let me set aside everything I think I know about myself, recovery, life, and my higher power, you know? Everything I think I know, you know? That's all I
Right.
got to do.
You can't change the direction of the wind.
And just be okay to not know, you know?
Right. 100%. I agree with it.
You got something from Bob?
Yeah, I realized I was cutting him off.
Shane, who you were talking to, just to let you know that you can come back to 2218's Attitude for Gratitude, the page, and listen to the shows after, so you don't have to stay up with us all night.
know,
If it is.
And I am wearing the mask that you gave me, Shane, so thank you for that big mask.
But you're welcome to stay up and listen to us all night, though.
That's someone you guys know then, I take it?
Yeah.
I explained. I wasn't sure if I typed that in
No,
properly.
well, yeah, I think Tim did explain it. If he didn't, all our old shows are on this podcast
Page.
page,
Yeah.
2218's Attitude for Gratitude. And in the future, we will be going to other streaming networks.
Everywhere you get podcasts.
Yeah, we're not
and
going to plug
YouTube,
everyone, but
But anywhere you listen to podcasts, Attitude for Gratitude is going to be there.
I did want to say something about if you get the opportunity. I think it would be awesome if you guys could like post previous guests and shows, because I think there's so many of them, really good ones.
Repost. What do you mean? Like put them at the top, or?
Well, just repost some that you've already done. Some
Just share again.
I mean,
all the time.
share 'em. Okay.
reshare
Greatest
them.
hits.
Yeah,
Oh,
reshare
that
them.
could be a good idea.
Yeah, do like a greatest whatever or just whatever.
I think
all
Z's
the-
getting
all the
that.
hits
This
are the
is going to be that
greatest, but-
show.
Well, see, this is kind of my background.
That's why we need you here.
That's my
Right.
background, but yeah, I can offer some, I don't know, some thoughts or
Yeah,
whatever.
and we welcome that. We need that. That's how this, like that message I sent you about what the show is. Like we're growing, we're figuring it out as we go, and that's still today. What 9-10 shows in, like we're figuring it out still. Like I've never done podcasts. I've only listened to them and
Well, you're doing pretty naturally.
give it as we
Yeah.
go. So
I just want to say though, so I noticed some of your previous guests on here, like Chattanooga. Is
yeah,
that-
hey,
is that
shout
how you
out
say?
Chattanooga.
Yeah, so
He's on here.
I listened to him last week, and I thought that was a good experience to listen to that, and learned a
You guys
lot
have
from
great
that.
guests every week.
But you guys you've been killing it with the guests. You know,
Oh, we got more. Oh, we got so much more to come.
I'm
Big
excited.
names like you guys.
Like
Yeah.
if you're enjoying this show, really go back and listen to every episode,
Right.
because there have been great guests
Everyone,
here
every
week.
show.
Every
It's like,
single show
yeah.
has been great.
And we heard about people's spiritual awakenings. We've heard about industry workers. It's so many things, and that's the goal. Is like try to get every facet of recovery.
Those guys
on here.
from that workshop that you were talking about are going to be on in 2 weeks.
Yes.
the 4-step workshop.
Rick,
Yeah,
is it Rick?
Why'd you say
Rick-
the workshop? Because you didn't want to say it.
Isn't it 4-step workshop?
Yeah,
right?
The
yeah,
Wednesday
Rick,
night
Rick,
workshop.
Rick B and
Yeah.
Jesse E
Yeah,
will be
that's
on
gonna
here.
See,
in
I
2
knew
weeks.
I knew the 4-step workshop and was going to it when Bob was still alive. And so this is many years ago. So I know both of them.
I've heard
That's
Rick
going to be
share
great.
about him.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great episode. Those
Oh,
guys
dude.
have so
Sydney's
many
going to
good
be
stories.
back on as a guest at the end of the month too with
Awesome.
with Nathaniel.
Oh, sweet.
That's sweet.
Then we'll definitely talk
I heard
about
Rick
some
share
nerdy
once,
stuff.
and he broke down my 4-step like by 50%, and that was at the point. I should save this till he's here, but before it was like he came to another Alano that I was a member of on an open topic night, and he came and shared. First time I ever heard him, like 4 months into my recovery, and I was just getting to my 4-step, so I've got 10, 15 pages and going back to first grade. He's like, "What do you do?" Like he shared, and I talked to him after, and I was explaining, like, I was all pink cloud, like, "Oh, I got this and this and this." He's like, "Whoa." Like, I don't want to go too deep into it because now that I know he's on, I'm gonna hold up till he's on. But it was like he shaved off, like he got to the brass. We can't wait till he's on. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I can't wait either.
He
It's
shed
gonna be
so
great.
much light on. He's a great guy in recovery. That's what this show is. Like, we're trying to get every facet of recovery on here. That's my goal too. Like, and I think we're achieving it. Like,
I think so.
Yeah.
you know, that's the goal. Mm-hmm. My niece is on. Shout out, niece.
Hi, niece.
Family.
Just
Gotta love
can I
'em.
say something real quick too
Yes.
about?
This is your show.
Well, no, it's not my show, but I go by Z. That's my nickname. My real name is Chris. So
I never knew that.
That's my real name. But the reason why I chose the name Z is at this noon meeting that we've been talking about. For a little while there was like so many Chris's there in that meeting, right? And it was just ridiculous. It would like be every one or every other or whatever for a while. I'm like, I can't do this. And so I just thought to myself, what could I do to rebrand myself?
So you made that up at a meeting?
Yeah, not at that meeting, but yeah, I just said, so I don't have to, keep going through Chris. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm alcoholic. I'm whatever. So I just picked Z, and it was simple, and that's how I got the name.
Sometimes these old friends will be like, "So you guys call him Z? You guys call Chris Z now?" Like, yeah. I mean, I had known him for like a few months, and he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be Z now." So I changed his name in my phone to Z, and
I've only
I
known him
never
as
got
Z.
confused about it. you
That's
know?
awesome.
I
sauce.
only knew his name was Chris because he told me. Like, and then I want to just address Krista. That's actually a friend of mine's girlfriend, and she just said, more women should be on, and absolutely.
For sure.
I was going to suggest that. Yeah.
I've been suggesting it since. Please, if you help us,
Well, I got a
more
list.
women say no.
I got a
than men.
list. I got a list of suggestions, and of course, as you guys know me, if you know me, I'm very much about women and diversity and
I want more
equality
women on the
and
show.
all that. I'm a activist.
My,
I-
si-
I
my,
would-
my sister's one of the only regular women that'll say yes.
Right.
And
Well, we have a whole month coming up that's going to be dedicated to
for
that.
women, yeah,
Yes.
the month of March.
that month we have one show with women.
Really?
Well, you
Let's-
better start
let's
booking.
rebook it.
Yeah, better start booking.
I know we were really. Elena was part of that too because she's part of the
Bump
show.
me
She's,
and
hey,
Nathaniel.
Elena, she's out sick.
If you
tonight,
guys
like-
could get Jane here, that would be.
yeah.
It's too late.
Phenomenal.
For her. We'd have to. What we
Why would it
have
be too late?
So the
9 to
the
11
women's
PM.
month is March, and we have
Yeah.
like we have people that we can't get back on the show, like Rick and Jesse.
Right.
Like we have.
You
we
can
just-
bump me and Nathaniel for some women.
All right.
If
you
I can
said
get
it.
'em.
Yeah, right.
if
And
we
then
get
you
'em,
heard
we have
that
a
women.
mental health
so,
show coming up too.
Yes. So Krista, like we need. We've got an opening. Sid
And
just
she's
said.
been invited on the show. Krista has. I don't know. We've kind of joked about it, but I was being serious. So,
But thanks for that suggestion, Chris.
You know,
and
on
we
that-
do take it seriously.
Yes, and on that subject about Jane, let me real quick
I want
shout
more
out the
diversity.
Gratitude Cafe because every week, and we talk about this every week, but for $5, you're not gonna beat the dinner that she will home cook for you.
Amen.
You come here, you're not gonna leave hungry. You're gonna leave with food on your plate. If you're, I don't know, it's lasagna like the size of my fist, and you get Jello.
y'all
you
missed
get-
some food today if you didn't come.
What'd
and
you eat? Let's tell the
It
audience.
was Victor.
Victor
cooked,
cooked it. Yeah.
but Jane came here to serve it.
Aw.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it-
she's getting her health back. She's starting to come
chicken,
back.
ribs, greens, potato salad. I'm probably missing something, but it was amazing.
and a dessert and coffee. and
It
water.
wasn't a to-go thing, but my plate was like, oh man, I'm
w-
still full.
We
I-
always
I-
advertise the Gratitude Cafe.
That's
and
awesome.
Jane will always post the menus on the
Yeah.
2218
Twice a week.
Facebook
So
page.
that's another thing I want to say is that Jane has been a big part of the culture change here too.
Definitely.
I mean, I really like Jane a lot. I like Victor a lot. He's a great guy. I mean, he's a character. Victor is a character.
Oh,
You're in charge of that.
and
Yeah,
they care,
no,
and
she'll
they
be
care
on there.
about this club, and they care about all
They're
of
gonna
us
come on together.
that
Yeah.
come here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's really what it's all about. here is we're all here to do what we can for each other, you know?
What week was Sid going to be on? The 4th week of March?
But Nathaniel's going to be on with him. So, like.
Okay. Well, then we'll confirm. That's off show talk, but we'll
Yeah, we
confirm.
can
we'll
move it to
do-
April or
Yeah,
May.
Because I got 2 women right now that just confirmed them.
And
That's awesome.
And
That's
I got
quick.
and
Boy.
I got so we got 2 open shows in between when we're booked up. I know we were gonna try and get Scott and Cheryl back on
Right.
for them, and I have a woman that's gonna be on, and either try and find another female guest
Well,
for the 2 open shows.
Have you talked to or asked Emily M?
Yes,
That'd be great, guys.
She would be
I
a good
haven't
one.
projectively, and that's the thing. Like I'm just trying. Are the shows that are booked right now? I'm trying to stop booking so we can
Right.
catch up.
Okay.
Because if we keep doing this, then we're going to be out till September, and right now we're out till the middle of July.
But let's get back to
Anyways.
Right,
talking about
recovery.
recovery. But just so everybody knows that this show is
Or Beth.
growing and we're learning, and we want everybody to get as much out of it as anybody does. So
Yeah. And if
I'm
the
not a
more-
host, I'm
yeah.
a producer, but
You're part,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Is like
Gene.
I care about this show just as much as these guys do, and I'm not trying to take any
Right.
ownership of it.
BS, Sid.
Yeah.
You know that, and this is
You're a
where I
big
get
part
to
of this
cut
show.
him off
Yeah.
because every week, especially in the beginning, I want to not be too vulgar here, but I was kissing your butt, thanking you up and down, and I do every week, and
I
we
love this
need
show,
you to be
know?
part
I
of the
love you
show.
guys,
Like
and I
you
love
are
what-
part of the
I love
show.
what we're doing with this show.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Sydney, you are part of this podcast. That's like that's all there is to it.
Thank you.
You,
And
Elena,
thank you for the
Tad, myself,
opportunity to
Eric.
do it, you know?
Yes. No, you're monumental in this show being where it's at today. Like it's that easy. So, on that topic, yes, that goes back to how I just want every facet of recovery on this show, and we have guests. We ask them to check in and tell us ideas, and we do take every idea into consideration. As I kind of stepped away from a lot of the scheduling. Elena came on board with taking over. Now, I don't like saying secretary stuff, but more of that
Administrative.
there you go, administrative aspect of it. But like we're growing, we're figuring it out kind of as we're going, and we want this to be for the listeners. It's that easy.
Well, can I make a suggestion
Yes.
on the guests though too? And I think this is very important because I think it's very important to have representations from people of color, and I think KG would be a great
We've talked
guest
to him. We've
to
talked
have.
to him. We've talked to him about it.
You've
Yes,
talked
we've
to him.
invited him on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's busy.
He's a
got a
very
lot
busy
going
fella,
on.
and yes, we have. Tad's
We're trying to
been-
get him on. We're trying to,
Yeah.
God,
Yep.
if you could get him
And I know-
on, I'd definitely be tuning
But let's
in.
get back to some more topics, and
Okay.
we can talk about this off mic, and we continue to talk about it. It is.
Yeah, Victor. We just tons. So, you know what? Yeah, that threw me out because now my head, it's that easy, goes down a rabbit hole of like, all right,
That's
so where
okay.
the show's going. Elliot, I
Yeah.
have questions written down still from when you were talking about your experience of walking in here.
Yeah.
Like to me that's like spiritual to me. That moment of you making that drive up here to walking through those doors. And it's not like I'm trying to get you to just have to keep reliving it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I know 40 days isn't it. 40 days, there's a lot that happens there. It's like were you drank, I guess, up until 40 days ago?
Yeah.
Or like you were used, so
Yeah.
like the changes that you noticed in the last 40 days of clear head, like what's the experiences outside of this like that beneficial for you right now, like, that you're noticing, the biggest things that you're noticing?
I mean, but I think the biggest thing is I'm probably like more in tune with my body.
Okay.
I feel better physically. So I think I've been like happier.
Right.
Definitely dealing with like some mental health stuff in a more positive way as opposed to clouding it with drinks
Right.
upon drinks upon drinks.
Yeah. We can all, yes.
I mean, it's like one thing to like address mental health, but it's another to like kind of actually kind of take a step back and like let some of the things actually work.
Right.
It doesn't. if you're trying to address your mental health and you're also like doing destructive things,
Well,
like
it
what
takes a
do
while
what do
for your
you
head to clear.
what do you expect, right? Nothing. You know, nothing good came from that. That's what got me into the hospital and
Counterproductive.
Totally counterproductive. Yeah.
Well, and the
so-
self-medicating, we just were not meant to do that.
Well, and
Yeah.
even
Totally.
if you're doctor medicating and using drugs or alcohol, they say it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It
I can tell you
counteract.
from experience, it doesn't work.
Right there, and that's what I hear from others. It's like, and that's kind of part of the questioning I was getting at for you, was like getting in here, like, you know, you're real nervous and shaking, and you know it takes a lot to get outside yourself and just even to introduce, just coming into a foreign situation, something you've never been introduced to, and you know, I'm an alcoholic, my name is, you know, it's just that stigma of that too, and the unknown.
Yeah.
The unknown's got to be, but then you make that choice, and then like 10 days go by, you know, 15, a month goes by, and for me personally, a month was unheard of. A month of no use, like,
Oh, for sure.
to me, that was proof of a higher power for me. That's just, anytime I questioned it, I just go back to not picking up.
I mean, this is the longest I've gone without drinking since I started drinking regularly.
So there you, I mean,
Nice.
Right. And the only reason, I mean, not when I started drinking, but since I've been able to, like, I mean, been 21, you
Right.
know, I didn't drink much in high school. I drank a little bit in college, but then, you know, my life up until this point has been in bars, restaurants, nightclubs, music venues, punk rock shows, traveling. It's like, it seems like everything that I like doing, there's alcohol there.
Right.
And in one way, it's almost like a workplace hazard, or, you know, it's like why so many people kind of have a story that's similar. It's there, it's around, and if you're really good, it's free.
Right.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
something on that same topic, that's where it's like you're talking about like an unspoken relationship. Like, we know, hey, we drink, we've got this bond. Like, it
Yeah.
took me a couple years, but coming to these rooms, and it's come up more so lately, but you're gonna start realizing you're coming into these rooms, like, that bond is here.
Yeah.
Like, I found that in these rooms, like, I might not know you. I've never seen you or met you, but we're in this room together. We know each other.
Yeah.
Like, we have that common thing, and like all of a sudden we have this bond. Like, it took me a while for that to kind of replace. You know, we drank. I knew I was going to a bar, and everyone in there, we had something in common. We're gonna be drinking.
Yeah.
You come to these rooms, and it's like a whole, like, tenfold this connection. You know, that the opposite of addiction is connection. It's heavy. Like,
Well, see, I mean, going to as many meetings as I've tried to go to, seeing familiar faces. It's the most familiar faces I've seen in the last year, and partially, you know, that's, you know, of course, it's COVID related, and spending more time alone and spending more time with a very small group of people just for safety and health reasons. But just coming to a meeting, and the meetings are safe, and I feel very comfortable, you know, coming here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't, obviously, but you know, just seeing familiar faces even with masks on is nice. It's normal. It's something that when you take it away, I think it hurts people.
Yes.
It definitely,
Oh, yeah.
it definitely hurt me.
right.
You know, the last year culminated in me coming here. You know, and it really was the last year that was, you know, kind of, I hit the accelerator on some of the shit that I was doing, for sure. And you know, and if the last year hadn't have happened, I might have walked in the doors years from now, or
Exactly.
you know, I'm not sure. And again, that's like that, you know,
The unknown. Right.
shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, like, I'm still also kind of dealing with, like, coming in here and the reasons why I came in here, and they're both kind of a blessing and a curse. It's you know,
Yeah.
trying to take good from something that's intrinsically bad, right? Like, no one wants to go to the hospital.
Right. Right.
But in many ways, like,
Not usually.
not usually. I mean, unless you're having a baby or something, right? But just trying to wrap my head around the fact that, like, you know, I went there, and then came out of that experience with like a different perspective, with some level of enlightenment, you know. And part of that was I was scared, and part of it was like I can't do that to other people. I don't want to do it to myself. So trying to, I mean, it's something that I've heard at meetings. It's like you kind of taking these experiences in the past that were bad and trying to you work them into something that's productive and a positive. Yeah. The bottom, if you will, which, you know, I was very fortunate that mine wasn't as bad as it could have been.
You know, yeah, and you never know. I mean, the unknown.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to answer a question or comment or
We got
whatever.
a question?
Yeah, it's just what about guests from other clubs coming to share? So, in case I'm not clear, once again, if you have people you would like to be on the show, either hit up 2218, myself or Tim, Tad Ackerman on Facebook, or
Aaron or
what? How do they get a hold of you?
Tim. I'm sorry. I'm
Timothy J.
enamored
Warren.
with your voice. Timothy J. Warren on Facebook.
So and
Or
to
even
be
just
clear,
send a message to the 2218 Attitude
Right.
for
yeah,
Gratitude.
and they'll get it. I'm on the board. I know the people
Or
who
just
do it.
the
They'll talk
podcast
to,
page itself,
Yep.
Attitude for Gratitude.
And-
Send a
and-
message to us.
and we'll get it. And you don't have to be associated with 2218 to be on the show. This show hasn't just been people from
No way.
that. Not even close.
No.
Not even close. This
Not
just
even
happened.
half.
Yeah, not even half of the shows have been people from
We're trying to bring
2218.
in as many people from the recovery community as we can.
So I want to clarify that. And yes, we will have board members from this. This club lets us do that. So we will. This happens to be a 2218 show, I guess you could say, because we're all members.
Right,
But,
yeah.
You know, but that's usually not the case.
Not at
And,
all.
I mean, and just because someone's a friend of mine doesn't mean they're necessarily associated with 2218, and some of them are. You know, like AA runs the squad council president. I'm on the board. Z goes to the meeting that he said he'd go to. Tim goes to the meeting he goes to, and you know, Sidney and you know, that just happens. I'm up here all the time. If people aren't giving me other guests from out in the community, they're going to come from here probably. And that's what.
That's just kind of the nature of the podcast. Every podcast tries to get as many people from outside of their own little circle as possible. But sometimes we want to have the people from the circle, and that's part of it too. And we can have different conversations, you know. And that's really what the podcast is about: is having as many different kinds of conversations on the topic of recovery as possible. So if you know anybody who it would be a great guest, send them our way, you
Right.
know, and get us connected, because that's really what it's all about, is trying to get everybody connected as we can. You know what I mean?
And Aaron, like you, I don't know why he asked this, because he knows that we want to have more shows. Sid's gonna.
Is that why you asked? Probably so you would.
Sid's
elaborate.
Sid's gonna have a podcast.
Right.
My goal is to have a 24/7 podcast
Right.
network.
And
someday.
Elliot might be involved. You said all you do is listen to podcasts.
It's all I do.
Like that gives
Me
you a
too.
higher resume than me.
yeah.
Dude.
You know what I mean? So that could be something to look forward to. Maybe you and Sid.
You guys, you should listen to my old podcast when I was drunk all the time.
I bet
The
that was
Upstairs
great.
podcast. I think you should listen to it. I'm
I
talking
bet I would like
specifically
it.
to Tim and Tad. But if anybody else out there wants to hear what I was like drunk on a podcast at 4 p.m. on a
That's
Monday,
awesome.
Oh,
Just
I don't know.
random-
You know
random
what? Stuff like that. It makes me sad. Like to hear people I
Day
care
drinking.
about back when they were in their youth. I don't know why, but I've done it and I've watched videos of people. And it's just me
And-
personally, it makes me
know,
sad.
I have a
don't
friend
know
who's
why.
been
In the
sober the whole
summer-
time, and he was a co-host, and he says I wasn't that bad. But
Oh, well, there we go.
I bet it
Everyone
was a hoot,
search.
dude.
yeah.
Oh, I guarantee it was.
but
What?
not as nice to listen to as my dulcet tones now.
Yeah, I mean,
You know-
and we might be pre-recording stuff because, like, in the summer, we might move. To
I'm a
different night for
fisherman.
stuff.
Dude, I do a lot
You're
of
a
weekend fishing.
I know you do a lot of weekend fishing. I have obligations on Friday.
Right.
I do sober volleyball in Ham Lake.
That's
on
right.
Friday.
So
We'll
there you
figure
go.
it
So
out.
and we are going to be taking this podcast mobile.
Yeah,
The idea is to be able to put this in a briefcase, go to events. Speaking of that, events, the biggest recovery event in Minnesota.
Of course.
Now, here's something that I don't believe I even shared with Ted, but one of the female guests that we had on our show the last time we had 2 female guests. We had Elena and we had Ashley. I went and met Ashley and her boyfriend for one of the best brunches I've ever had in my life, way down in Prior Lake. Well, I was sitting, and I think it was set up by Ashley for this reason. So we met these 2 guys there. One of the guys that I sat and had breakfast with is the chair on the board of Gopher State.
Nice.
And I know her idea was, like, right away, she was like, you should have him on the show. Like, right when we got there, told me about what the plan was. Like, I want you guys to meet, eventually have him on the show. And we talked about, like, I don't know how to vet someone for a show, but it wasn't even like that. It was more or less, we just, like we're doing now. We just sat and bullshitted, had breakfast. But then the talk started. He started talking about some stuff with Gopher State and some, like, I don't even want to say insider information. He was talking about things that are the plans and what it's going on, because everything's still the unknown. We don't know how well the vaccination's going to work.
Well, I want to do the show from Gopher.
But yeah,
Well,
if we
yes,
can't do
but-
it this year, I want to eventually some year get a suite for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I
and
was
do
down.
the podcast 24/7 at Gopher State.
Yes.
Try to get those circuit speakers to come on and have a chat.
That
Yeah.
I've
Like,
been thinking about that since
How
you guys
cool would
started
that be?
this.
And I
Right.
mean,
have.
everybody's there.
And-
Anybody that
Well, and we'll need more because we'll need more than just Tim and I.
No, yeah.
Sit-
We can't go
bec-
24/7.
We can't.
I don't
well,
live like that
could.
anymore.
I could go
For
24/7.
3 days,
It
we
was-
could do it.
Yeah.
We
on
really
Red Bull.
could, but we don't want to.
No.
Okay,
we don't wanna
so
do
this
that.
this actually goes back to what I was talking about. Like, you guys are creating something very powerful here, because it's similar to, as like I was saying, the workshops that we got going on in town. This is an important opportunity. It really is. I want to also talk real quickly about Elliot. Elliot, we hear the phrase in recovery a lot, like the newcomer is the most important person in the room and stuff like that. We hear a bunch of slogans in recovery, and in my experience, why that's valid for me in my life is that you get to show me what I was like when I first came in.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it is so important for you to be here with us tonight, okay?
1,000%.
And I'm just so glad that you came into the rooms. And I'm so glad you came into our room. And I'm so glad you're a part of our lives.
Well, I'm
okay?
so glad that when I did raise my hand, as someone who this was my first meeting, I'm so glad that I got the reaction and the feedback that I did. I wasn't expecting that. That's not
Were they clapping, or what do you mean?
clapping, smiles, acknowledgement. You don't see that on the way that this is portrayed, in the media,
Right.
in TV and films.
Well, that's why I'm asking. That's like some of our guests there might be some people out there that are on the fence about even.
And
maybe I
there's-
should go to.
There's
meetings, maybe
normies
not.
that listen to
Yeah,
this.
and like
too.
that's why I want to hear that.
You get a group of
experience
church
what
ladies
was
that
that
listen.
Like?
I mean-
when they said, "Is there anyone here for the first time, or are you newcomer first time to this meeting?
I mean-
ever?"
Yeah,
Ever,
and
ever,
and
ever?
I
What was that
I raised my hand, and I raised my hand, and it was ever, and my hand was still raised, and it was ever, and like I made eye contact with Z, and like his reaction was one of excitement
Yeah.
and
Oh, we love that shit.
and like like. And he wasn't the only one in the room that was reacting that.
Did
that,
you get a
that
big pop?
way. Huh?
You get a big pop for being.
No, I gave him a 24-hour chip.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what's funny about
I mean,
that.
it can be emotional, like very.
Yeah, it definitely could be that. But when I got up to give him his, do you remember this?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. I want to hear the whole experience.
Well,
guys.
you say it then, Elliot. Tell him the story.
No, you say it.
No, you say it.
No, you say it.
Go ahead.
Oh, just one to say it.
I'll say it.
Sid, I was hoping
Go ahead,
Sid would
Sid.
do it.
I'm just kidding. I don't remember. You probably nudged me, and I was like, you do it. I don't know. Sometimes that happens.
Now
with
I
me.
can't even think
Well,
of it.
here's the thing: if someone comes in and you hear him say ever, that means that this person came in
Oh,
here and
now
you
I
might have
remember
saving
it.
their life.
Yeah.
There it
No,
is.
now I
Let him go.
remember
Let
it.
him go
Okay,
before
now
he
it
forgets
came to me,
again.
okay? So I got up to give him his 24 hours coin. I didn't remember what his name was when he introduced
Ah,
himself.
yeah. Okay, now I know what you're
now you
talking
remember?
about.
Yeah, now-
Yeah.
So I go approach him and
Yeah.
I say, what's your name? And I asked him that question, and he's like, mine? And I thought that was his name.
Yeah, that was
And
amazing.
I said, that's a good name. If that's your name. And we just all chuckled in the whole group.
I was like, "What's your name? Mine? Yeah, your name. Who?
He's
What?
like-
Well, there's other people
He's like,
here.
I'd like to present mine
on
with
first?
a 24-hour token.
Yeah, mine."
What's on second?
And then later he was like, I know your name's Elliot, which is also a good. It's a good name too. So, I guess I'll call you Elliot. I think that would be
Mine. That's
Mine.
a good one.
So that's a good memory to have, though.
but that's I mean that kind of stuff is like when you're sitting at that first meeting, it's like even like someone asking your name is like baffling.
Yeah.
What do I do? Are you talking to me?
Right. Yeah.
What the fuck is
scary.
why are these people
Yeah.
looking at me?
Scary. But that was a good icebreaker.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yes.
No, because I think if I had walked into that meeting at noon and there wasn't diversity and wasn't levity, like I might have shopped around,
Right.
as they say.
Or fear.
Because
of
that's what
walking
everyone
out.
that's what everyone tells you to do. They're like a group, home group, and groups are like it's like dating. It's like sometimes you have to give it a little bit, and sometimes you know right away. And that's what everyone told me. And they're like, don't get discouraged. Don't go to one meeting and then completely write off the entire thing, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I lucked out, I guess.
No, and that's. I mean, it's a light. It, to me, that's why it's emotional for me. When I say it could be emotional, it's like, that could be that's the difference of you're living or potentially gonna die.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I hate being morbid sounding like that, but to
Yeah.
me, I know what the opposite end of that is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
That's-
not coming in, and it's like, dude, for the first 3 weeks, I knew I'd be waiting. Everyone's introducing themselves. You know, I'm Pete, alcoholic. I'm Jan, alcoholic. And when it come to me, I messed it up for like the first 3 weeks. I was so nervous. Like, I'll call Tim, Uncle Fred. Like, and then I just skip. Like, I'd be so embarrassed. And I'm thinking everyone's watching me, and it's like, and no one cares. Everyone's just
We
there,
were.
you
We
know?
were all
just
watching
happy
you,
to
Tim.
have you
But
there.
it was like for almost a month and a half, I would be so nervous to just even introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'd mess my own name up.
I read the preamble a few days ago. So baby steps.
Yeah,
baby steps.
Baby stuff. I was gonna
Do
say
you know
that-
it by heart yet?
No, I don't know.
I'm just messing
I
with
don't know
you.
the preamble by heart, and I never will. No, I'm just kidding. But I was gonna say that it is like a really, it's just such a huge moment, and we try to really like respect that at our meeting, and it is really serious, and so that's part of why we read the first step when somebody says it's their first meeting ever. This is what we have in the literature to introduce you to this, and we hope that you keep coming back because this is really serious. And it says everything you need to know in there, that you might have a rock bottom that's not as bad as it could be, or as bad as you've heard some people say,
Right.
and that's okay too. And you're still, that doesn't mean you're not in the right place. You know, I always want to say a soft bottom because I heard somebody kept saying they had a soft bottom, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Were we talking about me? No,
Yeah.
I'm joking. Honestly,
I don't know, I
of
have
that
a-
fellowship, that was my first meeting of that fellowship that I ever went to. That noon meeting was when I got
Very
to walk
first?
in there and say ever. Like I was like, yeah, this is my first ever. I mean, I was at a
Was I
different
there?
fellowship. But, yeah, you were.
Was I?
You were. I remember it too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, audience. This mic situation's cutting in and out on me, but yes, that was the first meeting I had ever been to.
So here's another important thing I want to say real quick. So I know all of you guys, and I've seen you guys walk into these rooms, and I'm getting to actually see you guys evolve and transform and change and become amazing human beings, okay? So that's a huge gift that I get from you walking in the rooms too, Elliot. You have 40 days, but boy, you know, in the 40 days that you've been here coming to this meeting, you have your energy has shifted. You've
Yeah.
changed in 40 days.
Right.
Okay? So just, keep going.
Well, I mean, I feel it, but it's really nice when other people
It is.
acknowledge it.
And looking
because
back-
because sometimes I think like you think about your own, you're the hero in your own story, and you have rose-colored glasses with all the stuff that you do, and that's how I was when I was drinking, like crazy. It's like I couldn't do any wrong. So it's nice to hear that. I just want to
They
acknowledge
talk about that in the literature. Is that
Right. Like
their surroundings will see your change usually before you do.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, when I was using, I thought I was doing a lot better than I was. And then when I was when I got clean, like I didn't think I was doing shit. Even if I was I thought I was doing a lot worse than I was. And that's the fundamental switch, and
Yeah.
because it's the opposite actually.
Well, that's our brain. I mean,
and meeting in the middle and just realizing, you know what? I'm just doing, and I'm doing okay, and maybe some days I'm doing great,
like
and some days I'm not doing good.
And it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah,
as
that's
well,
okay.
you know?
that's a
Yeah.
huge statement.
It's-
That's a huge
It took me a
statement.
long while to become okay not being okay.
Yeah, that's huge.
I mean, I knew I wasn't okay, and I was not okay with that.
yeah, see, and that, it takes-
And that I think was perhaps the hardest part of this process was that like acknowledging that this is not okay, and not having the wherewithal or the courage or what have you to like address it.
Well, and like
Right.
we we're saying, people will notice it usually before you, and there's a lot of things like that will happen. Like, I remember the day my mom said she was proud of me in recovery. When and I share about it. They're monumental in my recovery. But the day she was like, "I'm proud of you," like, I respect you, stuff like that.
And sometimes it takes
it's
a while
huge.
for certain people because I'm only going to speak for myself, but because I fucked over my family so many
Yes.
times, they didn't see it.
Yeah.
They didn't see me every day busting my ass. Like my sister shared about it when she was on the show. She came here because I asked her to, because we asked, because she needed a service position, and she was mean to me. And like I shared about that. Like I wanted to kick her out of the club for the way she acted, because and honestly, probably could have her behavior, and that's neither here nor there. But she sat and watched and made sure that I was different, because I talked. So, I got paid to speak for a recovery. I faked it really well. I did that for 3 years, and so people with my history of lying to my family, and I believed it every time. Like when I told them, they're like, "What's fucking different this time, Tad?" I said, "I died and I'm scared. I'm scared to
Right.
death." We've heard that. No, but I'm serious this time.
Yeah.
I died twice and I'm scared for my life. And you've said this before.
Right, it's
I'm
like hearing
but
sorry
I
a
didn't.
thousand
I didn't
times."
mean it last time. And they don't like.
It's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
Except the boy is also the wolf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's becoming more wolf than boy every day. That's from my ex.
Confucius.
But I do want to say that, like, that's one of the magical and awesome things about knowing Elliot for so long, is that, like, I didn't know that you were an alcoholic. I didn't know that there was anything wrong. I only saw, when I'd see you at the bar, I would just think this is Elliot as a grown up. When I'd see you like at the bar or like in the newspapers and stuff, like
Yeah.
I think this is Elliot as a grown up. And now over the last month and a half, like I've seen Elliot as a grown up and the original Elliot I knew, like, coming together into the same person, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's similar for you, Elliot, to know Sid and see the transformation that's happened for Sid.
'Cause
Absolutely.
You would see me at the bars too and see what I was like out there before. Yeah.
Totally.
Like I say, there's so many facets of that, like the growth that we have. I was in my inpatient for 30 days. I gained 90 pounds, like in 30 days. And I got out, and I remember so many. Katie, she's listening. She sent me like a card in recovery when I was in my inpatient. I got out, and I remember saying, "You look so healthy." I'm like, "I'm a fat ass. Like, I've gained so much weight." She's like, she was like, "No, you look healthy." And I look back at pictures of just before, like, I was weight wise, I was like where I should be, but my skin was bad. in 30 days, people notice things, not like I said, attitude, looks, transformation. It happens in recovery. And it's like, and I remember these things now. I wouldn't remember someone saying, you look healthy, or I'm proud of you. It's like, there's so many gifts that come along with this. And it takes time. Like, there's so many things that just took time for me to start appreciating things and accepting them, accepting a compliment. Like, I wanted to say things
That's
like,
a hard
"Oh, I'm
one."
fat or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about that before, saying you're welcome. Like,
Yeah.
when someone thanks me about something, like you're giving
I always
us
say no
compliments.
problem. I can't even-
He's
or
sitting there
I
giving us
deflect.
compliments, and
Yeah.
I can't. I want to
That's-
shoo away from it, and I don't know why.
That's such good perspective. I showed you guys these new headshots I got this week, 100 pounds heavier than the last time I had headshots, and I didn't think about. Like, I looked so skinny in those old headshots, but I was just like sallow and jaundiced, and I
Yes.
look healthier.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I cut it off to a headshot and don't and crop out my body, I look so much healthier, and I do look healthier. You know, in these new pictures, and like thinking back to just like my face and trying to smile, having to force myself to smile for a picture that I'm paying for of myself.
Right.
And now I don't have to force myself to smile because I have things to smile about. you know?
Word.
There's a lot of those like kind of intangible things, like when you're faking it or like faking it to make it. I think like, yeah, I feel like you can tell when someone has like that spark. I don't know like what that is, that energy, but I think if you feel it, I think it comes out.
You can see it.
Yeah, totally. And
Or feel it. You know, it's just there.
yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know. I've been telling people that lately I just feel like I feel zingy.
Yeah,
I have like a little bounce
Yeah.
in my step.
I like that singing.
Keep it going.
Singing.
I'm zingy.
Well, it's just like meetings too. Like you walk into specific places, you hear someone share, you see them, and people talk about how you can feel the energy coming off someone. It goes the same for meetings. You walk into specific meetings and like, yeah, like I feel this is a good. You just vibe, like spirituality just pours out of
Right.
specific meetings, and like we're saying, like you walked into a great meeting, like. A lot comes from specific meetings you end up going to, and it's unmeasurable sometimes. I don't know how to even word it.
So
Well, it's the gift actually, and this is the gift that we get when we come into these rooms. You
Yeah.
know? And I just want to say, for me, I'm truly, absolutely. Maybe I'm going into your grateful time, but I really am grateful.
well, we're still late. We're still gonna do this.
We'll go
stuff.
late for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
but-
I'm just really, really grateful. Can I say AA? Is that okay?
You, hey,
Yeah.
You can
Okay.
say
I
whatever
can't
you
take
want.
away whatever you're grateful for.
Okay.
That's your
Well,
gratitude.
My primary drug of choice is alcohol, and I was a goner as far as I'm concerned, and AA, and I really don't say these kind of cliche things to be that way.
Right.
It really has changed, saved my life, and I have a lot to be grateful for AA and recovery, and I'm really, really grateful for my life. Okay, it's not beautiful all the time. It's not all.
Right, and I think that's
Whatever.
what some people don't like. I don't get out of bed and I'm not fucking super happy all the time. Like that's just not it.
Sometimes I'm a bitch. I can. Excuse me. I am. Sometimes I'm a bitch still. You know, I have to learn. I'm sorry if I'm saying that and I'm not supposed to, but
You can swear.
just to be frank, sometimes I'm just not good either, and I struggle. You know, and
Sometimes I have to make myself do this stuff and it
Sometimes-
sucks.
right. Sometimes I'm a newcomer.
Right.
That's a good way to put
What
that.
are you
Zeke.
new? No, just kidding.
Right.
Well,
Hey,
so
Tim.
you're telling me you get emotions?
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Tim.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Cut the promo.
Here at 20, I don't know why I always say that. Here at 2218. At 2218, listen, that's who's housing this. That's who's making this, letting this happen in their building. Like, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole quick, but being a member at 2218, you'll eventually get to experience this sound studio. Like, I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
I got to go back. You know what? Before I shouldn't have went down the rabbit hole.
yeah. You were
2218.
Yeah.
If you know what, we got links on here. Check out the links. Donate if you're able to donate. Keep on listening. We love our audience. We love you guys.
2218, the longest continuously running Alano in the world in the same location.
I gotta make the meetings.
Absolutely, yeah. No. You got to pay attention and write down stuff that you're told by Eric or myself before. Absolutely.
Scolded.
Yeah. Because you did it on air. I'm giving you a nice little 1-2.
Oh, please.
But
He's
well,
good at it. Look.
it is what it is.
Right.
Hey, what are you grateful for, Sid?
I mean, I'm grateful for so much, man, but you know what? I'm so grateful that it's the weekend.
It's the weekend,
Thank
baby.
God.
Yeah, you're
It's
working
Friday. Yeah.
I
Right.
appreciate your weekends.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for you guys, you know. I'm really grateful that it's Saturday tomorrow and I get to see my fam, you know.
That's what's up. Elliot, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for clarity, and I'm grateful for oatmeal.
Yes.
Oh, fuck yeah, oatmeal. Z, did you have more stuff you were grateful for?
I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for what you guys are doing, and I'm grateful for I'm grateful for the family that I have here in recovery with Sid and with Elliot and Matt, who's on, I can see, and Tom and John and all my recovery family.
Word.
And more. And I said yes, please, because I was jokingly saying you said you're gonna spank his bottom or something like that. I'm like, okay, let's go for it.
I didn't
Go for it.
Oh my gosh.
You got to pay for that one. So, what are you grateful for tonight, Tad?
I let you ask me at first.
I know.
Hey, that's one of the things I like for some reason. Our banter, our bickering.
Yeah. Well, then I take it home with me all week, and I get in my head about it.
You
and
see
then I'm
what
reaching
Tim
out to
does for you
sponsors.
guys. You see, so I'm grateful that Tim puts himself through that for you guys.
I do that for my growth. As I'm holding an open knife in my hand. Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
Tim.
just please don't cut yourself.
Yeah.
I worry about you sometimes. What am I? Okay, I'm done.
What are you grateful for, Tad? Be real.
I don't know. I'm grateful that I have friends in recovery because I got personal stuff going on with people that I care about, and I'm grateful for the program and the person I am. That when someone goes in the community and lies about me to better themselves, and and because this is what I do recovery. So if you go in recovery and you talk about me, you're now fucking with my income, and I'm grateful that when people do that the people that know me, they don't believe it because I've shown that. And I don't have to be mad about that anymore. It doesn't mean it doesn't still hurt, but that's what I'm grateful for the most.
Okay. Did
Tim.
you take my knife away? Oh, all right.
No, you put it,
You're
put
an
it
adult.
down.
You're an adult.
Okay.
Tim, I said Tim already. What are you grateful for?
Okay. Well, like Z touched on it. Besides my recovery family, I was taught early that we have a recovery family, and that's the people who basically can understand what I'm going through, like on a first time level. But I am truly grateful for my family. Like I'm looking on this, people that are listening. Like I've got my mom on here, my niece Sam. I've got my cousin on here. I've got
Your peeps.
Like these are normies. Like these people aren't in the program. These are here for support. Like I don't neglect the fact that I have family. Like a lot of people in my recovery family does not have this a blood family that is there supporting them no matter what. Like I have a mother, I have a father, I have
Some of them don't
brother,
have family, period.
cousin, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I've never taken that for granted, and I do feel fortunate that I have family that's just there for me. Like no
is that-
matter what.
Is that one of the reasons why you try and be there for other people so much?
I don't know. I
was just
don't want
curious.
to. I just want to carry what was given to me, and I do share about this in my story that I was raised. I know right from wrong. Like the choices that got me in these rooms, like the best choice, my worst thinking got me in this room. Like my choices that were all bad that led up to me being in these rooms and getting clean and getting sober. Like, I was taught that from an early age. I can't blame it on this, that, or the third. I knew right from wrong when I was picking up. I knew it was making a bad decision. I was taught that, like, and I made those decisions. And I love the people that taught me right from wrong. That's my family. Before I start crying, I'm going to just say thank you, family.
Aww.
You saw I was getting emotional, right? You saw that. Yeah, and it's all because it's from the heart. I
And that's
love my
okay.
family, and I had to
That's
drop
okay.
the F-bomb. I'm working on it. I love you, Mom.
Buzzer beater.
Buzzer beater.
You got one, Tim?
No, I always leave this up to you because it's always so good. Elliot, what we do here, I'll let you think about it. What we do.
No, I got it one.
Oh, okay, let's break it off.
So what we do here, if you don't know, we do a buzzer beater, which is a quick question with a quick answer. And today is going to be, what is the first thing you do during your day for your recovery?
Sid.
Damn, he just quit. Sid.
I got time.
First thing I do is thank God that went to bed sober. I mean, I somehow I got into the habit of being grateful first thing in the morning, and it's amazing that it is a habit, and I just am able to do that. As much as I hate waking up and walking across the room to go to work, I'm grateful in the morning. I am.
That's good. Elliot, what's the first thing you do for your recovery when you wake up in the morning?
I have gotten in the practice of just acknowledging the fact that it is a new day. Whether that means taking a second to look at the sunrise or just having a moment to acknowledge the fact that this is another day, and I have that opportunity.
Z.
I'm grateful for.
We're past gratefuls. What is the
I'm
first thing
sorry,
you do for your recovery?
but it just comes back to gratitude
Okay.
for me. And really, most people that know me, they know that's what I really carry with me, or try to carry with me, is gratitude. How can I be grateful for what I have? Not for the things I want, not all the superficial things or whatever. What am I grateful for what I have? And what I'm grateful for what I have is good people in my life. I have amazing people in my
Amen.
life. Okay. So that helps me start off my day really well. And then just trying to realize that, you know what? I'm a human being. I am not God. Something else is helping me move in this world. And I'm grateful for that.
That's pretty cool.
Buzzer beater. Tad, what's the first thing you do when you wake up for your recovery?
So bear with it, because it's going to sound negative at first, because it is. So I think about all the fucking shit I don't want to do.
Okay.
And the shit that's going to be annoying, that's going to piss me off, possible. I go through that, and I try and reframe it in a positive way.
Nice.
To help myself, and why I need to do it, why I should do it, why I get to do it, what's going to help me do it. And if it's really that bad, throw it away. And then when I go and take my shower and before I have to do it, I have these little verbal assaults, and I get that shit out. I used to take those verbal arguments and try and, like, if I had a problem with Z, I'd practice, and then I'd go and really do it. No, I'd really have those conversations.
Right.
Those conversations never happen anymore. And that's worst case scenario. But, so I try and usually I just get to reframe it and why it's a positive thing that I'm doing it. Which is hard some days when you wake up right away. So
the get-tos.
yeah.
Back to that.
How about you, buddy?
Mine's going to be cut and
This
dry.
is Tim, by the way.
Pretty damn easy. I get up, I crawl my ass upstairs to the coffee pot, make a pot of coffee, and I drink it. And I can thank recovery for that. That's the first thing I do for my recovery is I drink a cup of coffee and I just lolly days off into my head or look out the window.
Black, cream or sugar?
Hell no, man. I wish I had a cool pun about that, but no, I like it with cream and sugar. There's usually cool puns.
I
I
kinda
take my coffee like I take my...
I like my women like I like my coffee
Cream
with
and-
cream and sugar.
Yeah, with cream and sugar. But that's it.
I always say I like my coffee like I like my
With
soul.
coffee,
black.
drink
made.
coffee, and I
little
think
bit
about
of
Bob a
coffee
lot.
made
Like
in
that's the first thing he always talks about doing. And when we go fish, like have a cup of coffee and just relax. Like I may have done that in my youth, but now I can enjoy it, and that's what I
That's
do
what's
for my
up.
recovery.
So, hey, we want to thank our guests today. Z, thank you very much. Sid, we want to thank you too.
Thank
And
you,
we
as always.
And we want to thank Elliot. Hey, next week we got a great show for you guys with Aaron and Victoria. So we have two ladies coming on next week.
Cool.
And,
Awesome.
you know, they're actually from my home group. I'm not going to say what group it is, but they are. And they were very interested in coming on last month. And some egghead who was doing booking at the time told them they were going to be on the first show last month and then forgot to write them in the calendar. It's me. I'm the egghead, not you, Tim. Tim's looking at me like he thinks I'm ripping him. No, it's me. So I forgot to book
touching our
them.
heads.
Yeah, everyone's touching their heads like I'm calling them an egghead. So to clarify, I forgot to write them down in the schedule. So then, you know, they were a month late, which is great because it's Women's History Month. So they'll be our first guest. You know, so I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I want to wish you a good night, and thanks for tuning in. Feel free to get a hold of me at Tad Ackerman on Facebook or
Timmy JW.
And you know, come check 2218 out. Hit us up for other things, and we love all of you. And you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.